way, our law director did tell us this could be taken care of, but we are actually going to open an actual new meeting this evening. All of your testimony that was given the other night is still on record, so don't worry about that. But just to keep things simplified as far as meetings go, we're going to open it as a new meeting this evening. Nothing changes, just logistics for committee purposes. And like I said, all testimony that was given the other night is on the record and in our minutes. So the first item of business I would like to take care of this evening is the approval of minutes for September 9th, 2013. What is your favor?
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. No's, abstentions. That is approved. Our first business item this evening is the conditional zoning certificate of Stow Animal Hospital Veterinary Clinic. Mr. Kurtz.
Thank you. This is requested by Mr. Thomas Alvarez, the potential property owner, for your approval of conditional zone certificate to permit a veterinary clinic, 3403 Kent Road. Property is zone C3, and veterinary clinics are conditionally permitted in this district. The 1950 square foot building originally built as a red barn was subsequently converted into offices for Brandon Heating Company. The building has been vacant for at least 4 years, except for a recent short-term use. The applicant intends to renovate the front building and utilize the existing parking lot. The existing landscaping will be replaced with new landscaping. They also propose to remove a portion of the sidewalk along the east end of the building, replace that with new landscaping. There are 13 parking spaces in the lot which they will use. They also are intending to add enhance the front entrance to the front door there on the east side of the building. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this at their September 10th. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. We did hear testimony on this Monday evening from the representative for Mr. Alvarez. Is there another representative this evening who wants to add anything to the testimony for tonight?
I'm the same representative.
I need you to, to swear you in, and I need you to give your name and address.
Jeff Statham, 3566 Dayton Avenue. So.
Do you solemnly swear that what you're about to say is true, so help me God?
Yes. I really don't have any additional information, but I know there were members that weren't here, so if there were any questions, the biggest concern that I noticed last time was, does Doc Alvarez plan on having a kennel? And the answer to that is absolutely not. That's not his operation. What's happened is his business has grown, and he's outgrown the facility, and so this one came up on Daily in town, and he thought it would be nice to have a satellite office. So he's going to have 3 offices there. And are there any other questions?
Does anybody in the committee or council have any questions this evening? Mr. Long.
The only question I have, maybe Rob may have to address this. As far as the sidewalk, I think I understood you right, they're eliminating part of the sidewalk.
This
I can answer that.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff. This is the sidewalk in question. It's not
okay.
not public sidewalk.
The rear sidewalk is very difficult to do because it's also a retaining wall. It gets very complicated, and it would affect the neighboring property. But the one in front, most of that is going to be removed, so we can put some additional landscaping in there.
Okay, and I was assuming it was a sidewalk along the street. It's not.
No, we're not talking the public sidewalk. Put out.
I'd ask.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from council? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Are there any questions from anyone in the audience? Great, thank you. Then I will make a motion to move us on to the full council this evening. Do I have a motion, or do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. No's, abstentions. This will be moved on to this evening's council meeting. Next item of business is the rezoning of Marham properties, and Mr. Kurtz, I will let you explain this.
Thank you. This is a request by Mr. Ron Marhofer for approval of 3 lots on Thorndale. 1941, 1947, 1955 Thorndale from R3 residential to community retail. Properties are located on the north side of Thorndale, east of the Marhoff dealership. There are single-family dwellings on each of the properties, and together they comprise 1.3 acres. This request was considered at the Planning Commission on June 12, 2012, and also September 10, 2013. These parcels are adjacent to the area designated as Site N in the 2001 comprehensive plan that recommended retail and service uses. As a way of background, staff's position was in support of this rezoning. We indicated at the June 12th and also the September 10th Planning Commission meetings of this year. The reason we supported this request was that it was consistent with the comprehensive plan policy of supporting redevelopment of the commercial area around Darrow and Kent Road intersection. And the reason the Darrow and Kent Road intersection is important is one of the oldest commercial intersections in Stow, and another long-standing, it's also consistent with a long-standing policy in Stow to refocus commercial at major intersections. So this is one of probably 8 intersections in Stow where the commercial development is concentrated. Again, the reason for that, this is a long-standing policy long before I was here. It's to avoid a strip retail, so we have, those focus areas throughout the city of Stow. That's one of the important ones. The dealership itself, the business has been operating since the early part of 1900s. Also, the rezoning will allow for significant improvement of the area of the property and possible vacation or potential vacation of Yukon Darrow Road intersection, which would be included. Would be happy to answer any questions. Oh, if I didn't already say, Planning Commission did recommend approval of this at their September 10th Commission meeting.
Thank you. I know Ms. Sennheiser, you had something you needed to read from.
I have a letter from John Slater. As you are aware, our firm represents RLM Darrow LLC, who are either the owner or have under contract 3 parcels of property known as 1941, 1947, and 1955 Thorndale Avenue property. We are before the Planning Committee of Council requesting that the city rezone the property from their current R3 zoning to C3. Pursuant to section 113708 of the codified ordinances of the city of Stow, a rezoning of the property is appropriate. We appeared at the Planning Committee meeting on September 23, 2013, and based on the fact that a quorum of the committee was not present, an official meeting did not take place. Unfortunately, I am not able to attend the meeting this evening, but ask that this letter be read into the record, including the incorporation of our previous testimony. We further ask that this committee place on the agenda of council consideration of the rezoning and that a public hearing be held on this matter. As we have testified in the past, and based on our recommendation of the Planning Commission, we are requesting that the rezoning be approved because it is consistent with the City of Stow's comprehensive plan and would also further the purposes necessary for the amendment of the zoning code. Thank you for your consideration. John Slater.
Thank you. I am going to ask actually the architect if he has anything he would like to add that was not stated the other night for the meeting. You did it this morning.
I need to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear that what you are about to say is true, so help you God?
I'm with Ferguson, 4 Points Architectural. As was read in the minutes there, or read in the letter, it was presented very well on Monday night. We're here tonight just to be able to answer and clarify any questions. If there are any questions, I'd like to be able to answer at this time or anytime during this meeting.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this evening? Council? Mr. Levin?
Yeah, I wasn't able to see, I don't know if there were plans presented or shown for the building or the landscaping buffer area.
Mr. Gibbs, you have those up here. Now, remember this evening, we are not doing site approval, so it's just rezoning.
We've actually got several buffer areas. The initial buffer area that we have is up along Darrow Road. What we've done is taken all the parking that's used right now for retail cars and storage. We've made that into a landscape buffer. We've added the sidewalks, which is going to make it more pedestrian. Now when you come north on Darrow Road, you're going to come down, in the future you'll come down through a nice green pedestrian walk instead of walking into a car dealership as far as the car. So we've added this buffer and softened this whole corner up through this area between Darrow and Kent Road. We've also added to the existing landscaping instead of the trees. We came back to the 3 lots that we're requesting the zoning variant or rezoning on, and we've added trees. We've added also privacy fence behind the trees. So we're going to have a green landscape in front of it, and we're going to have a fence behind it. When we come back to this area here, we've also added another privacy fence. We have intentions of adding landscaping trees. We want to work with the arborists to make sure that they are proper. We're going to go through a pretty extensive review with the arborist. But we do plan on bringing a privacy fence and trees all the way down to the tree.
On the, I know there was talk about what type of privacy fence, in conversations with Mr. Marhoff and some of the residents. Has that been decided what that material is going to be yet? Or is that going to be open for discussions with the residents?
You want me to address it?
That's,
I work with the neighborhood, see what.
yeah, come up to me. Yeah, remember, this is just for rezoning, this is the site plan.
You'll have to explain it also.
Yeah, just so I can clarify the reason for the questions. You know, the zoning, it's going to be hard to look at the zoning without at least knowing what the neighborhood.
Do you solemnly swear that what you're about to say is true, so help you God?
I do.
Your name, please.
Ron Marhofer, 226 Cackler Road, Streetsboro. To address the answer to your question would be, I would work with the neighborhood and the architects and the city to come up with something that would be aesthetically pleasing.
Appreciate that. And the buffer right now, where that is, how far into the 3rd lot does that go, or does that go all the way across the 3rd lot? I don't remember.
The buffer
You need to
extends
talk
all
into the
across,
mic.
but it's only 10
You
feet.
talk to the mic, can't hear you.
Yeah.
That comes out too.
The buffer along the east side of the property is going to go the full length of the property, but it's only going to be 10 feet deep. But we're going to be able to take and conceal most of it with the privacy fence. The fence will go the full length.
Okay, and then that 10, on the other side of that 10 feet is the next property owner's property, is that right?
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
If there's any other questions, you're welcome to ask.
Oh, Mr. DeAnthony, I think has a question.
Freedom, Mr. Marhoff, for you guys, not on the addresses down, but I've read about 40 pages of minutes from, seems like 30 meetings now. Have we talked about the properties on Yukon? And I know fiscally, I don't care, that doesn't matter to me. Would it make a difference if you had two properties on Yukon? I guess it would be yeah, thank you. And I don't know if they've been made or not. I'm just curious if that would change the plans, and it would.
Yes, I had my real estate agent contacted those 3 homeowners that front on 91. The one in the corner would sell a lot of money, but would sell. The other 2 did not express any interest in selling.
Would that change the footprint of what you're planning to do if you own? Would that
change?
That alleviate needing all 3 lots to move into?
I would say it would, yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Allen?
This question,
The only comment on that I would make is obviously Thorndale would have to be closed, probably a cul-de-sac.
yeah, that was going to be the next thing I was going to ask or address. I know we've talked about this in a little bit of detail, but I guess my question would be for Rob. And of course, these are all hypothetical right now. But if it were possible, would the city have any objection to Thorndale being a cul-de-sac versus a through road there if an alternate plan were able to come about? Would it make more sense as far as a comprehensive plan expanding commercial along the main state route versus going back into the neighborhood.
Could I just make a comment? So one area I see is you're gonna bring other neighbors into play, and the properties were not available when we tried to buy it.
Yeah, and I understand,
Yeah.
I understand that, and I agree with what you're saying. I'm just trying to look and see what alternative there were possibilities, one make more sense as far as the city, as far as comprehensive
I'd have to defer to the city.
to do that, and obviously, no matter what happens, a large part of the neighborhood is affected.
Sorry?
A large part of that neighborhood is affected, regardless of which direction.
Correct.
Mr. First, did you have anything to respond? Do you want to look at that and get
Well, I
back?
think, yeah, in terms of cul-de-sac Henry Street in Stow, you'd have to, and that requires a study, and traffic engineering study to see what the impacts would be. So the intersection now, I think, has certainly been identified. The Yukon Darrell Road, Thorndale intersection has been identified several years ago as being an issue, given the awkwardness of it. I don't know that a cul-de-sac was the alternatives that were discussed, but that had to be studied further.
We were just discussing that also, the fire chief, police chief would have to definitely be discussed, especially with roof areas for emergency vehicles. Have to be looked at for that. Do you have any other questions? Any further council members? Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone in the audience who did not have a chance to speak or has something different that they would like to say? Thank you. You were told before the meeting, that.
My name is Michael Gordon. I'm the attorney for the Burleys who reside in 1969 Thorndale. Oh, excuse me.
You do solemnly swear that what you're about to say is true, so help you God?
I do. I have an objection to proceeding on this matter this evening. It's the same objection I voiced at the Planning Commission. That is that it is our belief and position that the application itself is defective in two respects, which prohibit it from moving forward. One is that there are no reasons stated in the application requiring the rezoning of the property. In other words, there is no information indicating what external requirement Mr. Malhofer has to maintain any certain number of cars on his dealership. And that is important for council and the Planning Commission to know, because you're being asked to balance the interests of property owners in a long-existing neighborhood. In fact, a neighborhood that's been there since Mr. Malhofer's dealership has been there. The house in which the Burleys reside was built in 1928. So the idea that somehow you can't make that balancing test without first knowing the real reasons, what requirements are external and absolutely immutable, and what requirements are simply Mr. Malhofer's desires. And in terms of negotiating a reasonable alternative, I would note that private members of this community, both with attorneys, have attempted to negotiate a private settlement with Mr. Malhofer that would result in an alternative plan. An alternative plan that your Planning Commission asked Mr. Malhofer to develop over a year ago. Council members have attempted to facilitate a discussion between the community and Mr. Malhofer. And to Mr. Malhofer's credit, he has listened to the community's concerns. But this proposal has not changed one iota since it was presented last year. The second reason that the application is defective is that your own ordinances require that there be a statement of how the proposed rezoning relates to the comprehensive plan. There is no statement or analysis in the application that states how this relates to the plan. It is true. It does describe where this place is. It does describe it's adjacent to Area M. But what is required by the statute, your own ordinance, is some articulation of how this, in fact,
affects the comprehensive plan for your community. A comprehensive plan that in multiple places, which I will not regale you with this evening, talks about the preservation and protection of existing neighborhoods, the protection of the property values of homeowners, and the confinement of commercial development to commercial areas.
Sir, could I just use that?
With that, I would simply ask that my objection be appended to the record in writing, and that I'll distribute a copy to each of the council members.
Thank you. You can just hand it, and I'll pass it down. That way we can ask
Thank you,
questions. If anyone on council has any questions? Mr. Donovan?
Yeah, Rob, well, actually, I have none for you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for the speaker?
I would reiterate that the community has demonstrated a willingness to work with Mr. Mahofer. They have articulated in the presence of council members who attempted to facilitate a discussion, a willingness to compromise, to try to reach a working solution, and so far we have the same plan we did a year ago.
Thank you. If anyone else not even to has something they would like to add on Monday? Great, thank you. I will make, actually, Mr. Wapner, if you have something else for the
Yeah. Rob, in addressing some of the points here, as far as a comprehensive plan, what limits do you see? Where would rezoning stop if this is in compliance with the comprehensive plan? Would potentially 1961, 1969 at some point be a proper use of commercial rezoning? When looking at the comprehensive plan, where do we make the cutoff today or tomorrow that residents would be assured that the property they own today would not be encroached upon by commercial or industrial?
Yeah, I mean,
Is this arbitrary?
well, I think, well, the comprehensive plan, first of all, is a policy. And so they're not hard lines that are on the comprehensive plan. I mean, I think there's certain, obviously, intersections are identified, and it's the comprehensive plan is supposed to indicate what the land use policy is, and that how the land use policy is implemented is a couple of ways. First of all, through the zoning code, you know, and secondly, through private development. So those things are both in flux. So that's why the comprehensive plan is, although it gives specific, very specific guidelines, when it comes to rezoning, you really have to look at each rezoning application on its own and weigh the impacts of that rezoning, and given the existing situation, given the existing intersection here, the existing dealership as it is. So I don't know that you can, I mean, I suppose that one way to do it, one way to give guidance to future planning commissions and future councils is to amend the comprehensive plan and say, this is where, you know, and actually have specific, you know, the limit, this is as far as it goes. And typically, that's not done in the comprehensive plan, but that would be one way to do it.
And with that I guess I shouldn't say arbitrary, but within the comprehensive plan then, the guidelines you're referring to are when it talks about giving weight to one use or another. Would that be a fair statement? And
Giving,
when you have two adjoining properties,
Right.
you're looking at rezoning,
right.
you're looking at the impact on the people that currently both sides. And am I not correct that it says to give weight to the residential or encroaching residential versus commercial?
Yeah, there's certainly language in the comprehensive plan regarding making sure that there's appropriate buffers between residential and commercial, no doubt.
Would that not be a guideline that we give the consideration to the residential? Am I misquoting that?
No, I mean, there's, you know, in the, specifically, there's been, you know, sections of the comprehensive plan that have been quoted, and, you know, in one sentence, for example, there'll be statements about, let's see. Section here. You know, there's talk about reinforcing the retail choices available in this quality retail environment that will allow redevelopment of older residential areas impacted by decline in like investment. I'm not, I said it doesn't apply to Thorndale, but there's language in there that makes it clear you need to be aware of what the impact is between residential and commercial, but there's also equal amount of language that says you have to reinforce the retail area to keep it vital. So, again, that's what the comprehensive plan is a set of policies that each have to be reviewed at a time.
One other question, maybe this is backing up. This property under stormwater management now would be, we've increased that, would this fall under the new, I believe it's 100-year flood requirements versus the 50, as far as stormwater management, and how has that been addressed?
Well, stormwater management, I know, that would be a question for engineering, certainly would answer better than I. Although I do recall that there, in a case like this, since it's so close to, I know it's been noted by engineers, since this property is so close to that outlet there, that we want to get the water in there.
I understand right across the street is
Right,
pretty large.
and I think Bill Drew may have mentioned, he said, we're not detaining it, it's got to get in there and get out, so, again,
And I guess that's part of my thing, is we've redone that, how does that water flow? I'd definitely like to know that.
that would have to be part of the
Property across Route 91.
That'd have to be part of any site plan review, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Are there any more questions from council?
I'm sorry, are we going to be able to talk about this?
During the council meeting, there will be a portion at the beginning of the meeting for public to speak. Yes. So this, I will actually make a motion to move this on to tonight's meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of moving this on for this evening's discussion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. No, we have one no. Abstentions. This will move along to this evening, and Ms. Myers will number it for us. Planning Director's report.
Nothing specific to report, we have any questions?
Great, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Clerk now, or for President Lindsay? I will make a motion then to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. This meeting is adjourned.